You don't always need to speak to be heard, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away in silence. Because silence, true, conscious silence, isn't about weakness. It's about reclaiming your power without ever raising your voice. Buddha taught us, do not speak unless it improves upon silence. So why do we waste our energy trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding us? You've tried to explain, you've begged for clarity, you've defended your truth. But still, they twisted your words, ignored your heart, and drained your peace. This isn't just frustration, it's spiritual fatigue. What if the very moments you're desperate to speak are the moments you're meant to step back and let karma speak for you? In this video, you'll discover 9 sacred times when silence is not only wisdom, but freedom. Each moment comes from the depths of Buddhist philosophy and offers you a path to peace, power, and unshakable clarity. There's a transformational bonus lesson waiting at the end, one that most overlook, but it might just change everything for you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type "Silence is my power," or share a personal moment when silence said what words never could. And if you take just one thing from this video, let it be this: you don't rise by reacting, you rise by releasing. Let karma handle the rest. Let's begin. When you're not heard, stop speaking, start observing. Have you ever tried to explain yourself over and over again, only to feel more invisible with each word? There comes a time when your voice, no matter how sincere, becomes background noise to someone who's already decided what they want to hear. A silent truth echoes longer than a shouted lie. In Buddhism, silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. When you're not heard, it's not always about raising your voice. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop speaking and start observing. Why do we keep explaining ourselves to those already committed to misunderstanding? It's like shouting at a mirror. No matter how loud, the reflection won't change until you do. In the teachings of the Buddha, there's a lesson about right speech, one of the Eightfold Path's pillars. But what many forget is that silence is just as sacred as speech. When words become futile, silence becomes your shield. Observing instead of reacting is not indifference, it is discipline. And in that stillness, karma begins its silent work. People reveal their true intentions when you stop performing for their validation. Your silence isn't retreat, it's a boundary. It's a conscious act of self-respect. In today's world, where social media rewards noise and provokes conflict, choosing silence feels like rebellion. But maybe the greatest rebellion is not clapping back, not defending your truth, not chasing understanding from the unwilling. Instead, breathe. Inhale deeply. Picture each breath as a wave of clarity, washing away the need to be right, to be liked, to be understood by everyone. Your silence, charged with calm intention, becomes your power. Ask yourself, what would happen if you let your silence be your strength? Who are you still explaining yourself to, and why? If they valued your truth, they would listen without needing proof. If they respected you, they wouldn't require justification for your peace. There's a kind of peace that comes when you no longer need to argue your value, your integrity, your journey. Let them talk. Let karma hear what you didn't say. Because karma is not punishment. Karma is balance. When you stay silent in wisdom, you create space for truth to rise without interference. You trust that the universe will respond where you choose not to. And that trust is liberation. The next time you're in a moment where you're not being heard, stop. Don't defend. Don't react. Let silence speak for you. Let your stillness expose what words never could. Remember this: He who does not understand your silence will probably not understand your words. Stay calm, stay grounded, and let karma handle the rest. The beginning of self-mastery is not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say. Build a strong, disciplined mindset rooted in calm and positive thoughts. And as we dive deeper into the next moments where silence becomes your superpower, ask yourself this: are you trying to be understood, or are you finally ready to understand yourself? 2. When you're angry, let silence cool the fire. Have you ever felt your blood boil so fast that your words raced out before your mind could catch them? In the heat of anger, it's easy to believe that speaking your mind is strength. But true strength isn't in the explosion, it's in the stillness that holds back the storm. He who masters silence masters himself. In Buddhist philosophy, anger is one of the 3 poisons, alongside greed and delusion, that trap us in cycles of suffering. It isn't something to be released recklessly. It's something to be understood, observed, and then dissolved. Is anger truly expressed or merely transferred? Often, it doesn't end with us. We carry it into conversations, into relationships, into moments that had nothing to do with the original spark. It spreads like wildfire, igniting more pain than it ever resolves. But silence. Silence is the cold water that saves your hand before it burns your life. When you feel the fire rising in your chest, try this. Say nothing. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Feel that anger. Don't suppress it, but don't give it a voice either. Just watch it. Notice how quickly it begins to fade when it's not being fed. In one Buddhist parable, a monk was insulted repeatedly by a rude man, yet he said nothing. Later, when asked why he didn't respond, the monk smiled and said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" That's the power of silence. Not passive, but powerful. Not weak, but wise. In silence, you choose peace over ego and karma. Karma observes the discipline. It doesn't need your rage, it only needs your stillness. What has your anger ever fixed that silence couldn't have healed? How many times did your reaction make the wound deeper? Anger makes you feel right, but silence helps you be right. There's a difference. One protects your pride, the other protects your peace. And in that moment of pause, you gain what many lose in a lifetime: control. You are no longer reacting. You are responding, mindfully, intentionally, powerfully. That is the difference between someone who is consumed by their emotions and someone who has learned to master them. So the next time anger grips your chest and demands an outburst, pause. Don't speak, just breathe. Let karma do the talking. Let time reveal what you don't need to explain. Because in your silence, you invite truth to rise without distortion. In your silence, you give karma space to align what you cannot force. In your silence, you heal. Ask yourself now, are you reacting out of habit or responding from awareness? The more you stay silent in anger, the louder your peace becomes. And that peace, it doesn't just save moments, it saves lives. Remember this: the strongest person in the room is the one who can sit with fire and not let it burn their tongue. Let that be you. Let silence cool the fire and let karma take care of the rest. 3. When pride invites you to prove yourself, decline the invitation. Have you ever felt that itch? The pull to speak up, just to prove you're not small, to remind someone who you are, what you've done, what you deserve. That quiet pressure to show your worth, especially when someone doubts you. Pride whispers, defend yourself. Show them. But Buddhist wisdom teaches, only the empty vessel makes the loudest sound. True power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to parade itself in front of doubters. It just is. Is it truly power if it needs to be proven? Or is it ego dressing itself up as strength? Pride is seductive. It makes us believe that silence is defeat, that walking away means weakness. But in reality, pride is the first bait of suffering. When you rise to defend your identity out of pride, you become entangled in the illusion that your worth is determined by someone else's recognition. A lion doesn't need to explain, it's a lion. Its silence roars, and so does yours. In Buddhist philosophy, humility is not about denying your strength. It's about not needing to display it for approval. Let karma be the mirror that reflects who you are. Let time be the storyteller. When you hold your silence instead of proving yourself, you're not hiding, you're rising above the noise. Visualize yourself standing on a mountain, not shouting down at the world, but simply being there, still, calm, unshaken. The world gazes up, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. This is the essence of self-mastery. You don't chase validation, you become it. And in that state, you no longer need to impress anyone. Your energy does the talking. Your discipline speaks louder than your words. Your silence becomes your crown. Who are you trying to impress? And what if you don't need to? What if the version of you that says nothing but shows everything is the most powerful version there is? In the silence of humility, karma moves faster. Because you've stepped out of the way. You've stopped trying to control how others see you. And when you stop trying to be seen, your true self becomes visible. The ego demands attention. But your spirit is whole, even when no one is watching. There's a kind of elegance in silence that words can't touch. When others boast, you stay still. When others compete, you observe. When others seek to outshine, you simply glow. That's the energy of someone who knows their value is unshakable. So the next time pride invites you to the arena to prove yourself, decline the invitation. Walk past the noise. Let your life speak for itself. Ask yourself now, what if silence is your crown? What if the most powerful thing you can do today is nothing at all? Let your energy speak. Let your growth speak. Let karma do the rest, because the ones who matter already know, and the ones who don't never will. Stay grounded, stay silent, and wear your crown without needing to lift a finger. 4. When gossip circles around you, step out silently. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the weight of invisible words? Conversations you weren't a part of, but were clearly about you. Gossip is a poison that travels on whispers, infecting minds without evidence, without truth. And when you're the target, your first instinct may be to fight back, to defend yourself, to clear your name. But ask yourself, do you need to defend yourself, or do you need to rise above? Buddhist wisdom teaches, those who throw dirt lose ground. Every time you stoop to explain, to chase lies, to match the noise, you step down from the path you were meant to walk. Gossip thrives on reaction. It needs your energy to grow, but silence starves it. You don't chase every fly that buzzes. You light a candle and let them vanish in the glow. When you stay grounded in your truth and refuse to be shaken by the echo of lies, something powerful happens. Karma begins to speak for you. People forget that time reveals character louder than words ever could. When you stay silent in the face of falsehood, you let life itself uncover the truth. And trust this, it always does. Close your eyes. Imagine the voices, the rumors, the accusations, fading into wind as your silence expands like sky. Nothing can cling to something that doesn't react. This is how inner power works. It's not about silence as weakness. It's about silence as sovereignty. When you refuse to fight the mud with more mud, you stay clean. And that clarity, that's what karma notices. You don't have to expose anyone. They'll do it themselves. All you need to do is keep walking. What do you lose when you defend against lies? Often, it's your peace, your focus, your self-respect. You find yourself tangled in a battle you never chose, and the worst part is, you start becoming part of the noise. But when you step out of the circle, when you refuse to dance in the drama, you protect your energy. You stay aligned with your values, and that matters more than anyone's opinion. In Buddhist thought, right speech is sacred, but equally sacred is right silence. Silence that doesn't hide, but heals. Silence that doesn't fear, but frees. So let your silence be intentional. Not passive, not resentful, but powerful and pure. Let your energy speak what your mouth does not. Let your actions carry the truth that your words don't need to. And let karma be your spokesperson. It never misses a thing. The next time your name is thrown into conversations you didn't start, pause, breathe. Don't rush to clean the mess others made. Ask yourself, can I let karma take the mic? Can I stay rooted in who I am, even when others are rooting against me? The answer isn't always louder words, it's deeper presence. Silence doesn't mean you're defeated, it means you've chosen a higher ground, and from there, nothing petty can reach you. Let them talk, let them twist, let them circle. You keep rising. 5. When someone tries to trigger you, stay rooted. There are moments when people will test you, not because of who you are, but because of how they feel inside. They poke, they prod, they speak with sharp tongues, not to communicate, but to provoke. And in those moments, the heat rises in your chest, your breath shortens, and everything inside you screams to defend, to attack, to retaliate. But ask yourself, what if the insult isn't yours unless you accept it? Buddhism teaches that the path of mastery lies not in control of others, but in control of self. He who provokes your anger owns your peace. And too often, we hand that peace away like it's disposable. You are not a puppet for other people's chaos. You are the mountain. Words are wind. Let them pass. A mountain doesn't crumble because the wind howls louder. It stands, unmoved. In that stillness is power. When you stay rooted in who you are, you become untouchable. You don't take things personally because you realize nothing anyone says can define you unless you give it power. That's the rebellion. Choosing not to react in a world obsessed with reaction. Choosing peace in a world addicted to provocation. Feel your feet planted firmly on the earth. Inhale deeply. As the storm of words swirls around you, imagine it like a breeze around your body, unable to shake your center. Let provocations move around you, not into you. That is mindfulness. That is emotional discipline. And that is what separates those who are slaves to the world from those who have mastered themselves. Every time you resist the urge to respond, you build inner strength. Every time you don't react, you rise above. Who do you give your peace to too easily? Is it the co-worker who mocks you to feel important? The family member who knows exactly what button to press? Or the stranger online who hides behind anonymity just to unleash their pain onto someone else? What if not reacting is your greatest act of rebellion? What if your silence is not weakness, but a boundary made of steel? In Buddhist thought, anger is not merely destructive, it's a thief. It steals clarity, it robs focus, and it chains you to the person who provoked you. But when you stay silent, when you let your calm be the answer, you set yourself free. Silence becomes your sword, sharp enough to cut the cord of attachment, because you don't owe anyone your rage. you owe yourself your peace. The next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, don't step in. Observe, breathe, smile if you must, but don't react. You are not here to play games of ego. You're here to master the self. And karma? Karma has a long memory. Let it respond where you stay silent. Let your stillness be the loudest answer, and let your refusal to be moved become your greatest power. 6. When the past repeats, break the cycle with silence. Sometimes the past doesn't knock, it barges in. A familiar face, a certain tone, an old trigger, and suddenly you're there again. Not physically, but emotionally, reacting the same way, saying the same words, replaying the same defense like a script you've memorized. But have you ever stopped and asked, do I speak out of habit or from awareness? Buddhist wisdom reminds us, what we don't heal, we repeat, and healing begins where repetition ends. Silence is not avoidance, it's a sacred pause, a decision to stop feeding the pattern and start reclaiming your power. The past wants to pull you into its dance, to tempt you into reacting like you always have. But like a scratched record that keeps playing the same distorted note, your words can become instruments of suffering when driven by unconscious memory. Silence is the needle that resets the track. You don't need to fight the old story. You only need to stop participating in it. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Breathe in the memory. Breathe out the urge to explain, justify, or relive it. Feel the heat of the moment, and don't move. Let it pass through you without becoming you. That's presence. That's the difference between reacting and responding. And in that stillness, a new choice is born. You no longer have to be who you were when you were hurt. You no longer need to speak from the wound. You can speak from the wisdom, or say nothing, and let your healing speak through your actions. What patterns do you keep speaking into existence? Are you repeating old arguments just to feel heard? Are you defending yourself to people who already live in the past version of you? Silence becomes a boundary, a gentle rebellion against your own conditioning, because the cycle can't continue without your voice fueling it. And karma? Karma doesn't need help. It's already unfolding. You don't need to explain what they did. You don't need to revisit who you were. You only need to step out of the loop. The past is heavy, but silence is light. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to know which battles aren't worth refighting. Some people want you trapped in your old self because it makes them feel powerful. But you're not here to echo. You're here to evolve. Silence is how you break the loop. It's how you show the universe you're done surviving and ready to start living. So the next time the past comes knocking, don't answer with the same noise. Inhale deeply, let your silence stand tall, and let karma play the song it wrote while you walk away in peace. Remember, what you don't react to, you rise above, and what you no longer feed finally fades. The truth beyond words is your freedom. 7. When others seek drama, don't audition. Not every invitation needs an RSVP, especially when it's to someone else's chaos. There are people who feed on reactions, who stir storms just to feel powerful, provoke emotions just to feel alive. They toss bait into the water, hoping you'll bite, hoping you'll step onto the stage and play your part in their endless drama. But here's the truth. Your peace is not a stage for their chaos. Must you play a role in every act of conflict, or can you choose to exit the theater of noise? Drama has a strange hunger. It survives on attention. The more you speak into it, the more it expands. But silence Silence starves it. When others escalate and you stay rooted in stillness, something powerful happens. The show ends. The curtain falls. Because without your energy, there's no script to follow, no scene to act out. You're not being passive. You're protecting your peace. Think of it like this. Let their storm rage. Be the lake that doesn't ripple. You don't stop being water just because wind touches the surface. The lake knows its depth, and so should you. You don't need to argue to feel valid. You don't need to shout to be heard by the right people. You only need to know your worth, and that's something silence whispers more clearly than words ever could. Picture your energy as sacred space. Would you let someone walk into your home and rearrange everything just because they're loud? Then why let them do it in your mind? Protect your calm like it's your last breath on a drowning day. You don't owe responses to every message, explanations for every decision, or reactions to every insult. Sometimes the best defense is not defense at all, it's distance. Karma sees what you don't say just as much as what you do. Are you letting emotional thieves rob your silence? What would happen if you simply didn't respond? Imagine that power, not cold, not arrogant, just still. Like a mountain watching the storm from above. You don't need to win arguments that don't matter. You need to win yourself back from every moment you gave away, reacting to people who were never listening. Let this be your quiet revolution. Your refusal to dance with every disturbance is not weakness, it's wisdom. In a world that tells you to clap back, to prove your point, to keep the noise going, your silence is your sovereignty. The louder they yell, the softer you become, until there's nothing left to take, nothing left to shake, just presence. So next time someone casts their chaos your way, remember, you are not their stage. You are the stillness that reminds them what peace looks like. Say nothing, and let karma be the playwright of the rest. Because when you choose not to engage, you choose not to inherit their turmoil. And that is how you win without ever lifting your voice. 8. When you're unsure what to say nothing yet. We've all been there, caught in the tension of a moment, heart racing, mind tangled in emotion. And before we can think, the words spill out, sharp, unclear, regretful. In times of confusion, we feel an almost magnetic pull to speak, to fill the silence, to answer quickly, to prove we're not lost. But confusion speaks quickly, wisdom waits. Ask yourself, are you speaking to respond or escaping the discomfort of not knowing? There is deep strength in waiting, in letting the silence settle until the dust of your thoughts clears and clarity finally steps forward. Imagine words like arrows. Once released, you cannot pull them back. One careless phrase can pierce a heart. One rushed sentence can destroy months of peace. Yet silence, when used wisely, becomes your shield. Not out of fear, but out of self-mastery. When you don't know what to say nothing yet. Let the silence be your sanctuary, your ground to observe the emotions rising, falling, passing, like clouds that only seem heavy but never last. In Buddhism, mindful speech begins with mindful stillness. That pause between your breath and your voice is where peace is born. That's the space karma listens to, not the noise, but the wisdom behind your silence. If you can rest there, even for a moment, you'll speak not from reaction, but from truth. Rest in the breath before speech. Let silence answer first. What if the answer you seek is waiting behind the noise you're trying to make? So many of us look back and remember the things we wish we hadn't said. The impulsive messages, the defensive justifications, the unkind words that confusion wrapped in urgency. But how often do we regret our silence? Rarely, because silence doesn't need to be erased. It gives space for the truth to unfold, for emotions to soften, for clarity to rise naturally like the sun, not forced like a storm. What have you said in confusion that silence could have protected? Think about that. Words may seem small, but they carry weight. And when spoken from the fog of uncertainty, they fall heavy on your life, on your relationships, on your peace. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't to speak first, but to wait. To trust that understanding doesn't need force, it needs patience. The next time your tongue itches to reply while your heart still doesn't know how it feels, pause. Ask yourself, what if the answer reveals itself only when I stop asking out loud? Because sometimes silence is not empty. It's full of awareness, of wisdom, of unseen ripples that align your life when you're no longer trying to control every outcome. Let others rush. Let them speak from fear or pressure. But you, be the one who waits, who breathes, who speaks only when the words are whole. Not to impress, not to defend, but to honor the clarity that only silence could give birth to. When you're unsure what to say, that's the universe inviting you to listen, to karma, to life, to the quiet truth that already lives inside you. 9. When life hurts, let karma speak for you. There are wounds that words cannot heal, betrayals too deep for apologies, and moments when life hits you so hard, all you want is retribution. But in those moments, pause. Not in weakness, but in wisdom. There is a sacred power in surrendering the need to strike back, not to ignore the pain, but to rise above it. Ask yourself, do you believe in justice, or are you secretly chasing vengeance in disguise? Buddhism teaches that all things return to their source. The energy you send out, the lies, the kindness, the cruelty, the compassion, comes back, not on your schedule, but with divine timing. That is karma, a silent river. It doesn't roar, it doesn't scream, but it always reaches the ocean. When you've been wronged, silence feels like defeat, but it's not. It's a higher form of strength. To hold your dignity when your heart is breaking. To step back, not because you couldn't fight, but because you knew it would cost your peace. The truth is, karma never forgets. And the more you try to control justice, the more tangled you become in the very darkness that hurt you. You don't heal by throwing back the same pain. You heal by trusting that life balances itself when you stop interfering. Like a circle, slowly completing itself, that which harms will face its echo. That which is pure will find its light again. Imagine your pain as a heavy stone. You could throw it, but where will it land? What chaos might it create? Or you could place it down, walk away, and let karma decide what that stone becomes. A weapon in another's hand, or a stepping stone in your path. Picture a circle slowly closing. Trust that what was sent out returns. You don't need to explain. You don't need to expose. You don't need to get even. You need to be free. And freedom comes when you choose peace over proof, healing over hurting back. What pain are you holding that's waiting to be surrendered? Not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Let karma speak for you. It doesn't need noise. It works in silence, with precision, like seasons shifting, like tides returning, like truth revealing itself when no one's watching. Some people fall by their own weight. Some lies unravel with time. And some wounds only close when you stop picking at them and allow silence to do the sacred work. So let this be your quiet rebellion. Not a scream, not a fight, not a revenge plan. Just a breath, a turning away, a choice to not lose yourself to those who already lost their way. You're not weak for walking away. You're strong for letting life handle what your anger never could. Because when life hurts, let karma speak for you. And in that silence, you'll find something far more powerful than justice. You'll find peace. Bonus lesson. When you've outgrown the noise, walk away in peace. There comes a time when the noise around you becomes unbearable, not because the world is louder, but because you have grown quieter inside. You realize that fighting every battle, proving every point, or defending every slight no longer feeds your soul. It only drains your energy. Imagine a butterfly inside its cocoon. It doesn't argue with the tight walls or try to fight its way out with fury. It simply emerges when it's ready and flies freely, leaving the old behind without a backward glance. Why do we cling to what we've already transcended? Why do we stay tangled in the webs of past conflicts, resentments, and toxic conversations that no longer serve us? Walking away in peace isn't a sign of defeat. It is a profound act of self-mastery, a declaration that you choose your calm over chaos. Buddhism teaches us that peace is not found in control, but in release. Let go of the need to control outcomes, the compulsion to explain yourself, or the desire to keep proving your worth. Let your silence be your power, your freedom, your sanctuary. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders as you imagine stepping away from what no longer belongs in your life. The tension fades, the storm subsides, and you begin to breathe with ease. Ask yourself, what have you outgrown but keep revisiting? Is it a toxic friendship, a failed career path, an identity that no longer fits, or a pattern of self-doubt? What fears keep you tethered to the past? The fear of loneliness, failure, or being misunderstood? When you resist walking away, you're actually resisting your own growth. You're holding on to the cocoon, forgetting that your wings are ready. The silence that follows a conscious departure is not emptiness. It is space. Space for healing, clarity, and new beginnings. Imagine walking away without resistance, without bitterness, without explanation. You don't need to justify your peace or seek validation from those who can't understand your journey. You simply choose yourself. Like the butterfly, you fly beyond the noise, beyond the drama, beyond the battles that once consumed you. This is the essence of letting karma handle what no longer serves you. Trusting that life will realign itself in your absence, that truth will reveal itself in time, and that your peace will deepen with each step forward. The path to self-mastery is not in constant engagement, but in wise withdrawal. Sometimes the most powerful action is no action at all. When you walk away in peace, you create a sacred space where growth happens naturally, where silence speaks louder than words, and where karma quietly unfolds its perfect justice. Let this be your invitation to release, to trust, and to fly beyond the limits you once thought defined you. What if your greatest strength lies not in fighting every battle, but in knowing exactly when to let go? Quick summary of the principles. When you're not heard, stop speaking, start observing. Speaking more won't help those unwilling to listen. Instead of explaining yourself over and over, observe silently and protect your energy. Let your actions reveal your truth. Silence earns more clarity than repeated words. When you're angry, let silence cool the fire. Words spoken in anger often create deeper wounds. When emotions run high, step back into silence. It allows you to reflect rather than react. Calmness creates space for healing. When pride invites you to prove yourself, decline the invitation. Trying to prove your worth only gives power to external validation. Real strength needs no defense. Let your silence reflect your self-respect and inner security. You owe no one an explanation. When gossip circles around you, step out silently. Not every attack deserves a response. Engaging with gossip lowers your vibration. Let people say what they want. Your peace matters more than their opinions. Karma will restore balance. When someone tries to trigger you, stay rooted. Responding to provocation gives others power over your mind. True control is shown through calm detachment. Let their chaos stay with them. Your silence is your shield. When the past repeats, break the cycle with silence. Repeating old conversations keeps you stuck in old patterns. Silence breaks the loop. Learn the lesson, but don't relive the scene. Peace is found in not reacting the same way again. When others seek drama, don't audition. Some people thrive on conflict. Don't let yourself get pulled in. Silence isn't avoidance, it's wisdom. Refuse to be dragged into situations that don't align with your inner peace. When you're unsure what to say nothing yet. Speaking too soon often leads to confusion or regret. Give yourself the gift of pause. Let clarity arise before you speak. Silence allows understanding to form. When life hurts, let karma speak for you. Not every hurt needs to be avenged. Let life handle what you cannot. Holding on to pain only extends your suffering. Trust that justice flows in silence. When you've outgrown the noise, walk away in peace. When something no longer nourishes your soul, walk away without guilt. You don't have to explain your evolution. Let silence mark your growth and create space for something better. There is a sacred power in not reacting. In a world that pressures you to always have the last word, to always defend, to always explain, silence becomes your liberation. These 12 lessons are not about withdrawal. They are about choosing your peace over proving your point. When you choose silence in the right moments, you create room for insight, for healing, for karma to unfold. This is how the wise rise, not with noise, but with presence. Silence becomes your inner sanctuary, your quiet rebellion, your calm clarity in the storm of life. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. Choose one situation right now where silence can set you free. Don't react, don't chase, just be. Let your energy speak louder than your voice. Which moment in your life is calling for silence, not struggle? If this brought peace to your heart, please like and share this video. Comment below, "Silence is my power," or share your own moment of transformation. And don't forget to subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.